Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next video. Beneath the surface of our planet lies an alien world, inhabited by a creature that completely defies the traditional rules of evolution. It has no bones, a brain distributed throughout its body, and a lineage older than the first dinosaurs. This is the incredible biography of the octopus, a master of disguise, a genius of the deep, and a tragic figure of the ocean. To understand this marine marvel, we have to travel back over 300 million years to the Carboniferous period. The ancestors of the octopus were trapped inside heavy cumbersome shells, severely limiting their mobility and their potential. But evolution is a relentless force. Over millions of years, a radical mutation began to take hold. They abandoned their protective armor entirely, trading absolute safety for unprecedented freedom. Without a shell, they became the ultimate soft-bodied survivors. But vulnerability brought a desperate need for intelligence. Every single octopus begins its life in a state of extreme peril. Their story starts inside a tiny translucent capsule. A mother octopus meticulously braids tens of thousands of these eggs together, hanging them from the roof of her den. For months, she never leaves their side. She doesn't sleep, and tragically, she never eats again. When the time comes, the eggs begin to rupture. Tiny, fully formed paralarvae burst out into the water column, measuring no larger than a grain of rice. These newborns are swept away by the merciless ocean currents. They join the plankton, a massive drifting soup of microscopic life that forms the foundation of the ocean's food web. In this pelagic zone, the death rate is staggering. Only 1 or 2, out of 50,000, will survive to adulthood. To survive, the miniature octopus must immediately become a voracious predator, hunting tiny crustaceans to fuel its rapid growth. As they pack on weight, a biological timer goes off. It is time to drop out of the endless blue and find the sea floor. Landing on the reef is a terrifying transition. The young octopus is now surrounded by large predators on all sides. To stay alive in this hostile environment, the octopus activates its greatest evolutionary weapon, its skin. Just beneath the surface of their skin lie millions of microscopic organs called chromatophores. Each chromatophore is an elastic sac of pigment attached to a network of radial muscles. By contracting these muscles, the octopus can change its entire body color in less than a single second. But matching color isn't enough. To truly vanish, you have to become the landscape itself. Using specialized muscular structures called papillae, they can physically alter the 3D texture of their skin. A smooth hunter transforms into a jagged piece of coral, a clump of algae, or a featureless patch of sand. This shapeshifting isn't just a reflex. It requires immense computational power from a highly unusual nervous system. Unlike humans, who process everything in a centralized brain, the octopus has its intelligence spread completely throughout its body. More than 2/3 of an octopus neurons are located entirely in its arms, not its head. This means each individual arm has its own mini-brain. An arm can touch, taste, and make decisions completely on its own. Even if an arm is severed, it can continue to crawl, react to pain, and grasp at food for hours. The suckers themselves are chemical marvels. They are packed with tens of thousands of receptors, acting like an entire body of tongues. When an octopus touches a crab, it doesn't just feel the shell, it instantly tastes the meat inside. Fueling this massive, decentralized nervous system requires an extraordinarily complex circulatory system. To survive, an octopus relies on not one, but 3 separate hearts working in perfect unison. 2 branchial hearts pump blood through the gills to gather oxygen, while a central systemic heart drives it through the rest of the body. And unlike the iron-based red blood of mammals, octopus blood is built entirely upon copper. This copper, rich protein, called hemocyanin, turns their blood a striking, vibrant blue. Hemocyanin is more efficient at carrying oxygen in deep, freezing ocean temperatures, where iron-based blood would fail. However, this system has a fatal flaw. It is incredibly exhausting, and the systemic heart actually stops beating when the octopus swims. This is why octopuses prefer to crawl stealthily along the sea floor rather than swim. Swimming drains their energy almost instantly, leaving them severely fatigued and highly vulnerable to predators. Because of their fragile bodies and limited stamina, they have to rely on immense intelligence to hunt and survive. The octopus is a master tactician. It carefully calculates its strikes, learning the habits of its prey. When hunting, many species utilize a spectacular maneuver known as the web-over strategy. Spreading the webbing between its arms, it drops like a parachute over an entire section of the reef. Trapped beneath this living net, the prey has absolutely no means of escape. The octopus then uses its sensitive arms to pluck them out. For heavily armored prey like clams and large crabs, the octopus employs a completely different, darker set of tools. Hidden at the center of its tentacles is a razor-sharp beak made of chitin, capable of cracking thick shells. If the shell is too thick to break, the octopus uses a specialized drill-like tongue called a radula. It secretes an acidic saliva that softens the shell, allowing the radula to bore a perfect tiny hole. Once the armor is breached, the octopus injects a paralyzing toxic venom directly into the victim's soft tissue. The venom immediately dissolves the muscle connections, allowing the octopus to effortlessly suck the prey entirely out of its shell. Every single octopus species is venomous to some degree, though most are completely harmless to humans. Its venom contains tetrodotoxin, a potent neurotoxin that causes complete motor paralysis and respiratory failure. There is no known antidote. The only treatment is hours of artificial respiration, until the toxin naturally wears off. But venom is just a chemical tool. The true power of the octopus lies in its astonishing cognitive abilities. In laboratories worldwide, octopuses have repeatedly proven they can navigate complex mazes, unscrew jars, and solve multi-step puzzles. They possess an incredible short-term and long-term memory, allowing them to recall the exact solutions to puzzles months later. Even more remarkably, they can recognize and remember individual human faces, even if those humans change their clothes. They will happily greet researchers who feed them, while deliberately spraying water at those who have annoyed them in the past. In the wild, this high-level intelligence manifests in a behavior rarely seen outside of primates and birds: tool use. The veined octopus of Indonesia has been observed gathering discarded coconut shells from the ocean floor. It stacks the halves together, tucks them under its body, and awkwardly walks across the exposed sand. This requires immense foresight. The octopus is carrying an object it doesn't immediately need, knowing it will provide shelter later. When a predator inevitably approaches, the octopus drops the shells, climbs inside, and perfectly clams them shut like a fortress. Tool use, foresight, and spatial memory. These are traits we typically associate with animals that live for decades. Yet, the octopus achieves this level of brilliance in a lifespan that is heart-breakingly short. Most octopus species live for only 1 to 2 years. The giant Pacific octopus, the largest of them all, lives a maximum of 5. In this incredibly brief window of time, they must learn everything about their world completely on their own. Because octopuses are solitary creatures, there is no mother to teach them how to hunt, hide, or survive. Every single generation has to start from absolute zero, reinventing the wheel of survival through pure trial and error. Despite their brilliance, the ocean is unforgiving, and predators are constantly hunting the ultimate soft-bodied meal. Moray eels, sharks, dolphins, and large fish all consider the octopus an irresistible, high-protein prize. When camouflage completely fails and a predator strikes, the octopus relies on its most famous defense mechanism. With a violent contraction of its mantle, it shoots a jet of water to propel itself backward at incredible speeds. Simultaneously, it releases a dense dark cloud of melanin, rich ink from its ink sac. This ink doesn't just act as a visual smokescreen. It contains compounds that physically deaden a predator's sense of smell. Some species even mix mucus into their ink, creating thick, gelatinous dummies that perfectly mimic the shape of an octopus. These pseudomorphs fool the predator, just long enough for the real octopus to slip into a crack in the rocks. Because they have absolutely no bones, an octopus can squeeze its entire body through a hole no larger than its eyeball. The only solid part of their body is their beak. If the beak fits, the entire animal can follow. Safely wedged inside the rock, the octopus will block the entrance with stones and shells, sealing itself inside its fortress. They spend most of their short lives like this, hiding, hunting, and surviving against all odds. But eventually, the biological clock ticks down. A powerful chemical imperative overrides their desire to hunt and hide. It is time to reproduce. And for the octopus, reproduction is a terrifying, one-way street. Males must leave their territories in search of a female, exposing themselves to the open ocean and its predators. When a male finally locates a female, the danger only increases. Female octopuses are often larger and highly cannibalistic. To avoid being eaten by his potential mate, the male must approach with extreme caution and delicate displays. The male uses a specially modified third right arm, called the hectocotylus, to deliver his sperm. In a tense, distant embrace, he reaches out and gently places the sperm packet directly into the female's mantle cavity. The entire process takes hours. If the female gets hungry or impatient during this time, she will simply kill and eat him. Some species of octopus have developed extreme adaptations to survive this deadly mating ritual. The male Argonaut octopus literally detaches his mating arm, leaving it inside the female, while he rapidly swims away to die. For all male octopuses, mating marks the absolute end. Within weeks, their cells begin to break down, and they wander aimlessly until death. Meanwhile, the female retreats to a secure cave to lay her eggs, beginning the tragic cycle of senescence. Her optic gland triggers a chemical self-destruct sequence. She stops eating entirely, dedicating every ounce of her energy to her unborn young. As weeks turn into months, her body slowly wastes away. She becomes a pale, ghostly guardian in the dark. She will survive just long enough to see her babies hatch. Once they drift away, she takes her final breath and perishes. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next video.